It's that time again. Welcome to Tesla Shorts Time, daily episode 512, coming to you from Vancouver. It's June 16th, 2026. Let's dive into today's Tesla news. Tesla's Dojo patent embeds packet loss recovery directly in hardware, so training runs keep moving without software pauses. The patent filing details an on-chip system that stores recent packets in a 256 kilobyte cache. Linked lists and pointers allow the hardware to replay only the missing segment when a timeout occurs. Recovery runs inside a 4-stage pipeline that operates without any software intervention. A hardware link timer detects the loss and triggers the process automatically. This design keeps large training jobs running at full speed across a deliberately lossy Ethernet fabric. The approach avoids the pauses that software-based recovery methods would introduce during extended runs. Hardware recovery, built into the silicon, changes the cost equation for large-scale AI training clusters. Instead of adding software layers that pause the entire job when a packet drops, the design lets the chip itself decide what to resend and when. That local decision keeps utilization high even on a deliberately lossy fabric, which matters once training runs stretch across thousands of nodes. The alternative path of tight flow control and lossless Ethernet adds latency and complexity at every hop. Tesla accepts occasional drops and pays for them with a few kilobytes of on-chip storage, plus simple pointer logic. The trade-off favors throughput over perfect reliability, which aligns with workloads where partial restarts are cheap but idle time is expensive. If the approach scales cleanly, Dojo operating cost per training hour drops relative to clusters that must guarantee zero packet loss. That margin advantage compounds as model size grows because the same hardware budget can finish more iterations before the next hardware generation arrives. While Dojo works on the training side, Tesla's vehicle business is showing fresh signs of life. Analyst channel checks now project stronger than expected deliveries for the quarter. Updated production tracking and order data fed into the revised models. Stronger numbers would mark a rebound after several softer periods. The shift appears across multiple regions rather than a single market. Production volumes at the main factories have held steady enough to support the improved outlook. April EV registration data showed a 9.8% year-over-year dip. Tesla, Chevrolet, Hyundai, Ford, and Cadillac ranked as the top 5 brands in that period. The decline marked the smallest drop since federal credit changes took effect. Demand appears to be stabilizing after the initial post-credit adjustment. The figures come from recent tracking shared on electric vehicle forums. That volume picture sits alongside a bigger strategic choice the company has already made. Resources have been redirected from a lower-priced vehicle program toward autonomy and robotics. Capital that once supported the affordable car effort now flows into full self-driving development and humanoid systems. The trade-off is framed as near-term volume versus longer-term software margins. Internal planning documents show the reallocation happened over recent quarters. The move leaves the next-generation vehicle effort with a narrower development path for now. Robotaxis target a narrower base than personal vehicle sales by focusing mainly on replacing drivers at services like Uber and Lyft. Utilization rates and insurance costs stay as open variables in the model. The addressable market differs sharply from selling cars directly to individuals. Clean Technica examined these limits in a June 16th analysis. The piece separates the robotaxi opportunity from the broader personal vehicle market. One owner publicly stated plans to order the vehicle in gold once it becomes available. The comment reflects continued interest in the dedicated robotaxi design, despite the lack of a firm delivery date. It shows how early adopters are already thinking about customization options. The statement appeared on social media on June 16th. Tesla Rati covered the post in their feed. Tesla reminded owners that the car can handle parallel parking on its own. The feature uses existing ultrasonic and camera hardware already in production vehicles. It demonstrates how current sensor suites continue to add everyday convenience without new hardware. The official account posted the reminder on June 16th. The capability relies on hardware present in vehicles already on the road. A recent update to CarPlay could allow deeper integration on vehicles that currently block the system. The change removes one technical barrier that has kept third-party head units out of Tesla cabins. Owners who want CarPlay would gain a clearer path if the update propagates. 9to5Mac reported the development on June 16th. The adjustment addresses a previous limitation for aftermarket installations. One of those robotics bets is Optimus. An analyst note highlights possible high-margin revenue from factory deployment first, then external sales. The projection starts with internal use at Tesla sites to refine the hardware and software. External sales would follow once the units reach sufficient reliability. The upside hinges on reaching cost parity with human labor in coming years. Early deployment data from Giga Texas will help test those economics. Production cells are still in the early visible stages as construction continues. Tesla is expanding component sourcing relationships with Samsung and LG affiliates. The move adds capacity and geographic diversity to the battery and electronics supply base. It supports production scaling without relying on a single region. Bloomingbit reported the deepened ties on June 16th. The relationships involve multiple units from the South Korean suppliers. Property owners discuss real-world capex, utilization, and margins after installing fast chargers. Several report steady but site-specific profits once traffic builds. The thread highlights that non-CPO operators still see gaps in coverage that create viable locations. The discussion took place on the electric vehicles subreddit on June 16th. Participants shared details on installation costs and ongoing returns. Before we get to future hardware, current software still has visible gaps. Inexpensive physical objects can trigger false positives or bypass certain safeguards in the current FSD stack. Testers found that $30 doll heads placed in specific positions fooled parts of the vision system. The finding highlights ongoing edge case challenges ahead of unsupervised operation. These gaps remain even after recent version updates to the supervised stack. Closing them will require additional training data and validation cycles. Regulators will watch how these physical world vulnerabilities are addressed before broader approvals. Regulatory language is another area still catching up to the technology. The agencies still use outdated labels that do not match how Tesla systems actually operate. Updated wording would affect how features are classified and reviewed for approval. The gap is described as a straightforward administrative issue rather than a technical problem. Regulators will need to align terms before broader, unsupervised approvals can move forward. Feature names and capability descriptions in current guidance predate the latest software architecture. On the infrastructure side, Tesla is simplifying one piece of the Semi rollout. Tesla is adapting its plug-and-play supercharger approach to 1.2 megawatt megacharger sites. Pre-assembled units should shorten installation time at fleet depots. The change supports faster Semi rollout by reducing on-site construction complexity. Fleet operators can position the units with less custom electrical work. The design draws from lessons learned during the supercharger network expansion. Early test sites have shown reduced setup times compared with traditional builds. SpaceX completed a Falcon 9 Starlink mission from Vandenberg just one day after its IPO. Booster B1093 flew for the 14th time and deployed 24 satellites. The launch marked the first operational flight under public company status. Tesla RT covered the event on June 16th. The mission originated from Vandenberg Space Force Base. Ron Barron added another $1 billion to his SpaceX position immediately after the IPO. The purchase brings Barron Capital's total SpaceX holdings to $25 billion. The move underscores continued institutional conviction in the Starlink growth story. Tesla RT reported the additional investment on June 16th. Barron Capital has maintained a long position in the company. SpaceX is running visible ad campaigns for Starlink while Tesla continues its minimal advertising stance. The contrast highlights different customer acquisition strategies inside the same corporate family. Starlink needs broad awareness to grow the user base quickly. Tesla RT examined the differing approaches on June 16th. The campaigns appear across multiple media channels. Xiaomi unveiled a robotic charger that plugs in the car automatically at home. Tesla explored similar ideas years ago but moved on. The new product revives a convenience feature that remains absent from most production EVs. Google News carried coverage of the unveiling on June 16th. The ARM targets residential charging setups. And that's everything worth knowing about Tesla today. TSLA closed at $411.15, up $2.17, 0.5%. If the show saves you time, a quick rating on Apple Podcasts or Spotify goes a long way. You can also find us on X at Tesla Shorts Time. I'm Patrick in Vancouver. I'll see you tomorrow. And before you go, this show is part of the NARA Network, a family of daily podcasts covering tech, science, markets, and more. If you enjoyed today's episode, give Fascinating Frontiers a listen, the most fascinating news from space and science. You can explore the whole lineup at neuranetwork.com. This episode used AI voice synthesis of my voice. Editorial selection and analysis are my own.